How can I get the world's cheapest supercar? Be creative to make it stand out so it belongs in between an AMG GTR and a 720S.
If you ever get this feeling that you're supposed to do more is supposed to happen, it's true.
I was on food stamps. I've been to jail. I've been to prison. I was addicted to heroin.
Probably earn maybe like 100K a year. Not even close. Not even close? Moved to LA, $300 in my bank account. There's no crazy e-com business. There's no crypto. There's no trust fund.
What do you tell yourself when the fear is like strongest?
No matter what, I'm going to succeed. If it doesn't work out exactly how I want it to, then I'm going to switch it and I'm going to try again. Failure is not an option for me. I take that into everything that I'm doing.
And just trust the universe, manifest, speak things to existence, count your blessings, always give thanks. I wish more people just believed it's possible, things will start happening.
All right, so here I am at the OC Cars and Coffee. It's a very, very elaborate supercar meet in the middle of like a strip mall type setup. It's pretty wild. So I wanted to come here and just interview different people that own these cars and get their kind of mindset for wealth and success and things like that, and see what kind of captivating advice and stories they give. All right, man, tell us your name.
My name's Tony Nino.
Tony, it's awesome to meet you. I will get a shot of your Lambo, crazy pink. I will get a shot of it separately.
Revolution Pink.
Yeah, and so tell us what you do for a living.
So I own one of the biggest body shops in Orange County, and I'm also one of the largest auto wholesalers on the West Coast.
I know you're a hard worker. Not everyone that works hard, obviously, is able to make any traction or whatever. It feels like they can't get above water. So, like, what are some of your core principles around money or success, or what's an ideology you lean on that got you through that barrier of just working hard, not getting anywhere?
For me, it's a little different. I value more than the cars, the money, anything else. I value the relationships, because without the relationships, my businesses wouldn't be successful. So I don't know the next person I'm meeting. Maybe they have a business that we can network, we can work together. That's why I love car communities. It's a lot of business owners, it's a lot of entrepreneurs, and we can work together to where we all help each other's businesses grow. I'm sure it's been said 100 times before, but it's how much time are you putting into your success? People say, hey, I work hard. Well, if you're sitting at a desk for 8 hours, but you spend 3 hours a day, doing social media from your desk, you're not working the best you can. We all waste time every day. How much time do you spend out with your friends, or you're at the bar drinking, or you're playing video games? That's all wasting time. You're not working at the best of your ability to make money. When you start focusing and you hit the point and you're focused on making money, working at what you can, the hardest and the best you can, you're going to be more successful, you're going to make more money.
How do you view money? A lot of people have fear around money, or I need to get it and not let it go. How do you look at money, and how do you approach the whole topic?
Scared money don't make money. So, I'm going to be the same person with money, without money. The more risks I take, the more money I can make. You can't operate under fear. You just got to give it your best, and you got to go. And eventually you're going to have something that hit, but I don't feel like I got to protect my money, because if I keep putting it out there, I'm going to make more money. I'm going to make new relationships, and we're going to grow together. We're going to make money together.
So how do you not let fear get the best of you? If logically, hey, there's a reason to be fearful, how do you get over that?
It's a mindset. It's the same thing with success. Everything starts with the mind. When I got started, I was working a regular 9-to-5 job. I quit my job to chase a dream. I said, hey, if I fail at this, I may have to move back in with my parents. I may have to move in with a friend. But I took a risk on myself, and without risk, without sacrifice, you can't expect great reward.
What do you tell yourself when the fear is strongest? I've lost everything. Everyone's gonna tell me I'm an idiot, whatever. When fear is the strongest, what are you telling yourself in your mind?
No matter what, I'm going to succeed. I'm going to try it, and you know what? If it doesn't work out exactly how I want it to, then I'm going to switch it and I'm going to try again. A lot of people fail at something and they give up. I'll never give up. I will keep trying and I will keep going until I succeed. Failure is not an option for me, and I take that into everything that I'm doing. Some things are more successful than others, but as long as if I fail, I remap it and I find a way to make it work. You can't quit. Once you quit, you've given up.
What about someone that's never really felt super successful, or that can't be for me? What would you tell to that person? Maybe someone isn't naturally as relentless as you or whatever.
I was that person. When I got started, I had a Honda. I remember looking at $100 bill thinking, oh my gosh, I have a $100 bill. No BS. And now I'm leaving here and I'm jumping on a 100-foot yacht today. So, you'd have people cook for me and everything else. I'm living the best life that I can right now, and I don't worry about the money I'm spending because I know when I come back to work on Monday, I'm going to apply myself. I'm going to work 14 hours if I have to recoup that money.
That's the problem with the car meet. It's so loud.
What's your advice in terms of finding what to pursue or how to make money in a way that also is like ethical? A lot of people view people with wealth as like, oh, they took money from others, you know, the whole mindset. What's your approach to making a lot of money in a way that is in integrity?
To have the best chance at success, you've got to be doing something that you love. I love cars, so I'm in the car business. If I can get your mindset right, that's what the Str8up Driven Academy is about, is getting you in the right place to make money. I don't care if it's comic books. I can teach you how to make money doing comic books, but it comes back to sacrifice and time. You got to put the time in, you got to put the effort in. But it's doing your research, educating yourself, and then putting in the time, you're going to be successful.
What about people who say they don't know what their dream is? How do you recommend they find their dream or uncover it?
Well, you just find something and try to do that and see if you enjoy it. And then if you don't, try something else. I love cars. At a young age, I used to steal cars because I couldn't afford them. Now I buy and sell over 500 cars a month. It's something that I always loved, I'm passionate about, and I have several other businesses, but I always come back to the car business because that's the one I have the most fun in. That's the one that, I'm most passionate about.
Another guy I spoke to earlier, he said that he previously was addicted to drugs, went to prison, all that. Did you get in trouble for stealing cars?
I actually did, but I was at a young age, so it was juvenile hall, so it was before it really affected my life and all of that. If you're chasing money the quick way, it's not going to work out. But if you're willing to put the time in, like Str8up Driven Academy, I tell people, I have success stories to where I've made people millionaires, but I'm not going to do it in a month. The turnaround time of my program is at least 2 years. But if you put the time in and you do what we're telling you to do, you're going to make money, you're going to be successful. But you can do that. You can take what we show you and you can apply it to anything else. But 8 out of 10 people don't put the time in and they don't give it the full commitment, so they're not going to get the full success out of it.
When it comes to, let's say people are like, well, I need to pay my bills or whatever, how do I go for my dream? It's so outlandish. What do you tell them in terms of that argument or that confusion of like, well, if I'm working a normal job, I don't have time for my dream, or do I go in on my dream and just trust it'll work out? Like, how do you reconcile that argument?
That's an excuse that you tell yourself. I was working a regular 9 to 5, and when I got off of work at night, I would look up cars with check engine lights or body damage, and then I found a way and I built relationships to fix those cars cheaper than anybody else could. So then at night and on the weekends, I'd fix those cars up and I'd sell 1 car, 2 cars, 3 cars, and save enough money so I could do more, all working a full-time job, so I finally had enough money to quit my job and do it full-time. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. But I wasn't going out having fun. I wasn't going out partying. I had to sacrifice to build that, to build that capital to be able to do my own business.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, man. Tell us your name.
Taylor.
Taylor, nice to meet you. And this is your
GT3.
GT3 right here. It looks amazing. So firstly, let's just get out of the way. What do you do for a living?
I'm in sales.
What kind of sales?
We help people get out of timeshares. We advocate on behalf of the client to get them out of the timeshare.
That is a business I can get behind. That is so amazing. I've never met anyone that does that.
It's been for 5 years.
What spurred that? Did you see it as a business opportunity, or were you personally victimized?
I was not personally victimized, but I met some people that were starting the company, and then I started with them like in 2018 or so.
So clearly, there's a lot of people in sales, high ticket sales, whatever, but they don't drive a GT3. They haven't done as well as you. So what is the difference between someone like you in terms of how you operate versus how maybe a lot of people who work hard and are super dedicated with good habits and everything, they're not succeeding? Like, what is the difference maker for you? Is there a certain mantra or way you view the world that makes you feel like something like this is possible?
A lot of people, I think, they are waiting for something to happen and they feel like the world owes them something. I could see that, but the world doesn't owe you anything and you have to take it because it's not going to be given to you.
What are some of your foundational principles for accruing wealth? Like, are there any certain laws you follow or certain ways that you view money?
It's a tool. I deploy it in different things to make me more. You don't want it sitting in the bank. You want it doing other things like passive income, like real estate syndications. I'm not really involved in crypto. Commission sales is always great. You're not going to get too far ahead with just a salary where you're capped out. you're only worth as much as someone's willing to pay. So you have to work hard and make commissions.
Have you ever been poor?
Yes. I lived out of my car.
Wow. Obviously not the GT3.
No, an older car. I was on food stamps.
Wow.
I've been to jail. I've been to prison. I was addicted to heroin.
How on earth do you shift that course?
That was about 10 years ago, so I don't do anything anymore. I've been there, done that, that's for sure. I would say I'm educated, but I don't have a college degree, and I don't have a lot of formal training, but I just turn what my skills are, which is sales closing, and I'm into making money.
How does someone get out from like rock bottom when they don't think it could go any lower?
Got to find a reason. I found a reason where I was at a time where I was really content in my addiction, and I felt like I was going to be okay, and then I realized like this is a terrible life, and it needed to change, and a lot of people don't change. I eventually was like, I got to get out of this circle and start living life. That's what I started doing.
How did you know that it was possible to even get out of that circumstance? Like, what made you feel it was possible?
I saw other people doing it.
Okay.
And I knew it could be done because I wasn't like that always. So that's why I decided to change. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, man. I know you have to get
I gotta go.
going,
Yeah.
but thank you so much for taking the
All right.
time. All right. What's your name?
My name is Will.
Will, it's an honor to meet you. I will show your beautiful Audi R8 another shot.
Amazing.
You're a down-to-earth guy. Your car, you don't have to tell us, but it looks like it's worth 200K or more.
That's amazing.
So how on earth, how old are you?
I just turned 30.
Congratulations. So how on earth did you earn your wealth in the first place?
Assuming that I have wealth, I have a lot of sponsors on this car. As you
Okay.
can see all the way down the side, Bilstein, XComp, Longtail Rally, Spec, Liqui Moly. Like, I basically found my way into a supercar doing a regular job, just like anyone else has. So my whole brand since I started was how can I get there going from literally 0 to 1. Moved to LA, $300 in my bank account. There's no crazy e-com business, there's no crypto, there's no trust fund, parents.
No
nothing.
gimmicks.
Exactly. Like, it was how can I get the world's cheapest supercar and be creative to make it stand out so it belongs, in between an AMG GTR and a 720S.
What's your normal job?
I work for Voodoo Autosport. So I do all of their marketing, I
Okay.
do their client management, and that is an exotic car shop, by the
Okay.
way. So I teamed up with them and basically said, hey, look, I'll foot all the bill for this vehicle so that way you can use it as a marketing tool if you guys help me maintain it.
Wow. Was that a hard sell?
No. Because they needed help with marketing just as bad as I wanted a supercar. So it was a match made in heaven.
Really what you did was you turned what would ordinarily be a very large depreciating asset purchase as a ticket, like you got it sponsored to bring you into this, and you said you're in marketing.
Yes.
So you already kind of have the hustle going in your head. Okay, so what advice do you have for people our age, like no elaborate gimmicks, we don't want to learn drop shipping or whatever the hell. We're not interested in gimmicks.
Yeah.
What advice do you have in terms of the mindset of how you can really kind of make a huge leap way beyond what would be possible, and be opportunistic in the way that you have?
I would say a leap would hint that there's a shortcut to this. It takes time. I just bought this when I was 28. It wasn't something that I got overnight, and there's levels to this. I literally have a 10-year-old sub 100K supercar. Like, I literally got the cheapest possible entry into this world. But I found a way in because I followed something that I love. I think the secret is that deep down you know if you love something. That's why I didn't do drop shipping. That's probably why you didn't do it. That's why I didn't get into finance or anything else that might have been lucrative enough to get a supercar, is because I follow what I love. And what I love is cars. So that's why I'm with Voodoo Autosport. Because my job is to sell wheels, sell exhaust, sell tunes, sell carbon. I can tell you everything about the car, but I'm doing it from a place of passion. Like, I don't care if you buy it or not. I want to share the experience. So I think if you're passionate about what it is that you want to do, just find something you love.
I think what's cool is that your story is actually more relatable than a lot of other people's. Like, you probably earn maybe like 100K a year.
Not even close.
Not even close?
Way under that.
And you were able, dude, so you really went all in on this car.
Yeah.
As an investment in these communities. What's your grand plan? What would be your ultimate vision?
Well, I want to buy more cars. When I was a kid, my goal was to get to LA and drive a supercar. Now that I'm here, I'm like, okay, I got to figure out what's next. To me right now, it's mindset and knowledge. I'm trying to grow in that area. But, I was in the Air Force prior to this. I was a captain. So, I was earning a solid, 5 G's a month-ish, something like that. And then I moved to LA, that stopped, and I had to go back to minimum wage. So that was in 2018. I was on minimum wage for 2.5 years before I found something I paid just a little bit more, and then a little bit more. It was a combination of cutting costs, reducing liabilities, and then trying to pour everything into the #1 goal, which was get a supercar. I'm trying to keep my costs as low as possible. I don't go out on weekends to do fun stuff unless it's something car related where I can network and potentially make more money. And I try to interlace what I love doing with something that I can grow or build my brand more at, which is why I'm at Cars and Coffee. I'm enjoying this, but I'm also here to make sales.
But what's like the ultimate vision, let's say besides the cars, ultimate version of Will? What does that look like? For example, I think of like the Str8up, if you follow him on YouTube, or like the ultimate supercar dealer, salesperson, expert, whatever. Like, have you thought about that?
You mentioned Str8up. James is actually an early mentor of mine. I moved here from Utah. I was an Air Force captain just outside of Salt Lake City. Yeah. So he was the one that actually convinced me to kind of start YouTube and take it more seriously.
I love it.
So I think he has a different path than where I'm at. I try to create my own, but he definitely set the groundwork of consistency on YouTube, which ironically I don't really do YouTube anymore, but he definitely got me in this space. Now I have a tremendous amount of passion in what I'm doing with Voodoo, and I feel like no matter what I do, it will have to include Voodoo in some aspect because the people that work there are so high quality. I would say make sure if you are going to work somewhere, not only do you love it, love the people you work with too.
I guess I have one more question. There definitely was like a leap of faith in what you did. Did you even tell anyone what your dream was, like buying that car?
Everybody knew my dream growing up. Yeah.
Wow. Because that takes a lot of guts. I guess my question is, where did you get the faith or belief or whatever to trust that you going all in on this against practical odds would succeed and bring you to where you are?
Yeah, a combination of knowing that you burn the ships at the shore. If this really is your dream and you're serious about it, like I knew I would figure a way, figure it out. But I owe so much to Voodoo because they were the ones that were like, we will catch you if you fall. Like if this car breaks, we will help you fix. Having that safety net of knowing that a good group of people that I can trust had my back and are helping me make this the car that it is today. Voodoo was the secret ingredient that I needed to make this happen a lot sooner than it would have happened for most people. But it wasn't a handout because I still have to show up. My entire weekend is dedicated to going to car shows to represent their brand.
Right.
So it comes with a price.
Let's say the final question is one piece of advice, or what's the worst advice you ever gotten that you wish you could give to someone like kind of our age or even you a few years ago or whatever?
The best piece of advice is lead your life with integrity and dependability because that's the fastest way to stand out. It's something that isn't easy to find, especially in the exotic car community. Everybody is very much just me. We say in Air Force, it's integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. Always tell the truth and always be dependable. If you say you're going to show up, and it'll go a long way.
I love it. All right, well, Will, it was an honor. Thank you so
nice
much,
to meet
man.
you. Yeah.
It was a pleasure. So, tell us your name.
Jay Laurent.
Nice to meet you. And what do you drive here?
I drove a 2023 Artura Vision Spec.
This car, right?
Correct, this car.
I mean, this car's crazy. It's hard to kind of capture from this angle, but I got it earlier. Firstly, how did you earn your money?
Through marketing.
In what way?
We help companies from an infrastructure side of things kind of scale their businesses, add more depth and strength, and try to push them out on social mediums, etc.
Like an agency?
Yeah, you can call it an agency.
Were you skilled in marketing before and then you went out on your own? Is that the deal?
I was always just a creative person. I never just thought social media marketing, here we go, day one. I kind of just tried to figure out what made sense. The ultimate goal, I'm just trying to take care of my mom, right? So just put in the work and sacrifice and try to make it happen.
Have you always been wealthy? Have you been poor?
I moved here sleeping on a couch. So.
I love it. So dude, how do you go from kind of 0 to 1 and even thinking that it's possible to do that?
I risked it all. I always felt like high risk, high reward, medium risk, medium reward, no risk, no reward.
You just risked it all?
Risked it all.
What were the odds that you thought it'd be successful?
It's scary, man. Kind of gave up everything, nice job, I had a house, and I just said, I'm gonna go for it. I moved to a place that I've never been before and I figured it out.
How does someone like you, now that you have money, how do you view money? What do you think are some of the fundamental rules for it, or where people look at it incorrectly?
It's a liability. And money means nothing.
Okay.
It really doesn't. No. Cash flow is everything. Money has somewhere to belong, right? Always does. Yeah.
So if money's just sitting, that's not good.
No risk, no reward.
Okay, so always be moving. So how do you recommend people move their money, or how do you recommend it flows?
Obviously, there's safe things, right? Yeah, real estate, even like federal bonds, stuff like that. Or startups. I'm involved in a ton of startups right now, and I just feel like, big risk, big rewards.
What if someone doesn't know where they belong in terms of how to use their skills, or they're really passionate but they don't know the right outlet? How do you recommend they do that?
That's a good question, and honestly, I'm still trying to figure it out.
Really?
I always tell people, if you truly believe you're supposed to be something more, and you truly feel like you were supposed to be one of those guys, just fucking go for it.
Can you tell us more about that?
If you ever get this feeling that you're supposed to do more, or more is supposed to happen, it's true. And to just trust the universe, manifest, speak things into existence, count your blessings, always give thanks, and just get it, man. It's so possible. I wish more people just believed it's possible, things would start happening.
So that nagging feeling is not a lie.
It's not a lot.
It's not what people call ego or whatever.
That voice in the back of your head sometimes is right.
Okay, wow. Are there any final kind of principles of success that you live by?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
what are some of them?
One saying, burn the boats.
Burn the boats. You probably read that book, right?
Oh yeah.
It was a great book. I'll have to send this to, I don't know Matt, but I'll have
Yeah,
to send it to him.
for sure.
And another guy said burn the boats, and believe it or not, I have burned the boats myself.
There you go.
Thanks so much for taking the time, man.
Of
It
course,
was a
man.
real pleasure.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
So, that car meetup was awesome. It was such a great time. I loved the wisdom from the interviewees, and I wanted to unpack the big takeaways that I got that were a little more in between the lines and just kind of analyzing overall themes across the 4 very different interviewees. Every single one of them basically has been broke or started off broke or started from scratch. And I think that's pretty amazing. And then, of course, as you all heard, 2 out of 4 of them specifically had criminal records. You know, Taylor mentioned he had actually been to prison and was a drug addict. And then Tony stole cars as a kid, and so he was lucky enough to not have a criminal record as an adult, but went to juvenile hall, right? Those are amazing comeback stories. I also thought it was fascinating that 2 out of 4 of the guys used the phrase burn the boats. I thought that was really crazy. Like, that was an unusual coincidence. And that's a phrase I actually deeply identify with because that is the decision I made a few years ago, perhaps outside of immediate logic, to burn the boats, to really commit to only working on things that I really, really care about and feel inspired by. And for context of what the phrase means, it's referring to, in wartime hundreds of years ago, one of the strategies of the generals was after they sailed to where they were attacking, the generals would have the boats lit on fire and destroyed so that the only way home was to win the war and therefore reconstruct the boats. That was an effective strategy a lot of the time. And that metaphor really has stuck with me. So I just thought it was a really cool coincidence that half the people I spoke to specifically said that phrase like totally unprompted. And another thing I really appreciated is that none of them made money on kind of gimmicky things. None of them like got lucky with one big bet in crypto. None of them did kind of drop shipping or other kind of gimmicky things. I mean, there's some legitimacy to those pursuits, but with the amount of stuff that you see on Instagram and YouTube in terms of advertisements and the courses for that, you know, there's just so many hucksters, and the money is in the courses of claiming that you had success in these things, but very few people can actually prove that they have. And, you know, most of the courses I imagine are total junk or scams. So what I loved is that each one of these people made money in not a fly-by-night way. I'm sure there was some luck involved, but luck was a byproduct of, you know, they all said picking something that you're passionate about. I know there's multiple ways to be successful, and a lot of people just like kind of do what they know and what they can be good at and are not passionate about and make their money that way so that they can, you know, live a life of financial freedom and whatever. But I really resonated with each of these interviewees because I have found that when I am extrinsically motivated, meaning I'm motivated by an external outcome, as opposed to intrinsically motivated, where I just want to do the thing because it excites me. And because it excites me, I can trust that I can do it well and am more likely to make money from it as a byproduct. I just have not been able to make things work when it's like, oh, I think I can make good money from this. I will find a way to get interested and motivated about it. That has always proven hard for me. So what I loved is that each one of these people had passion towards what they were doing. And then in Taylor's case, he didn't necessarily say he was passionate about it, but he did seem passionate about indexing on his strengths, which he said are closing deals or sales closings, what have you. And I figure he's at least decently passionate about that. Not only were they in it for the long term and they didn't try some like quick scheme, but on a related note, none of them acted like they were martyrs. None of them acted like they were victims or they regretted the quote unquote sacrifices they made. So for example, Tony brought up the point of, not going out partying with your friends all the time, right? Like those kinds of distractions. But he didn't say that he missed out on doing that. And all these people that I spoke with, none of them felt like they missed out when it came to working hard. I think a lot of the time, it's kind of this ego game that a lot of these different people go on these different podcasts for, or YouTube videos. And, it's like part of the game is to make you feel like you're not working hard enough or you don't want it enough. And that the only way to success is to work so hard that you like martyr yourself. I just feel like that's a recipe for disaster. And that's not entirely true. None of these people that I spoke with gave off the energy of being a martyr. They did it because they were passionate about it. They did it because they were skilled at it and they really wanted it. And those sacrifices didn't even really feel like sacrifices. They were just like part of the game that they accepted and was worthwhile for them to do. So I think that's like a very nuanced but important distinction. Whereas if you just consume social media content, there's little clips of you got to work so hard, or you'll never get it, or you're not enough unless you work hard. I think that is giving the impression that the only route to success is to feel suffering. And if you're not suffering, then you won't be successful. I think that triggers an unconscious or subconscious response in us where it's like, oh, I don't want to suffer, and therefore I don't care about success enough. It's not worth the suffering. And I think that's a really important distinction that I wanted to make, because that's something I realized that I had to resolve within myself, where I'm like, wait a second, I don't want to suffer. Like, why would I want, like, is success even worth it? And so it's about finding success on your terms, and that you can make money doing what you're passionate about, and it doesn't require this martyrdom. One to share that I noticed was that they didn't mention blaming anyone else. They didn't say anything negative about the government or politicians or taxes or anything like that. They only discussed what they could control in their own actions. And that is really important, in my opinion, because there's always going to be external circumstances that make it more challenging, whatever it is you want to do. Or sometimes it can play to your favor. And that's just the luck of the draw. That's just fate. We don't know why things are unfolding in that way externally. But we do, if we only focus on what we can control, none of them just had negative things to say about external factors or what have you. It was all discussing what they did, how they thought about things, how they approached things, and just riffing on final thoughts of what each person said. I wish I had more time to speak with Taylor, because I would have loved to hear his, comeback approach from prison and being addicted to drugs to having a successful career. And then with Tony, I think one thing that really stood out was it just doesn't matter when fear sets in, because I really kind of pressed him on that question. He mentioned that it's just a matter of deciding no matter what, I will be successful. The unrelenting decision of whatever my definition of success is, I will achieve that. I will be successful. Whatever I truly want, not in terms of what other people want from me or whatever. What I truly want, my own definition, can't be argued with. I make a promise to myself that whatever happens, I will achieve that. Is the only true requirement for being successful, that you decide that you cannot settle for anything else. And the exact timeline for achieving whatever success you want, obviously TBD, that's maybe left up to fate. But I just really appreciated the bluntness of that the only real requirement is to declare and decide, I will be successful in whatever way I truly want. And what I loved about Will was he still doesn't make that much money per year right now, but you're talking to the guy and you just know he's going to be really freaking successful, because he thinks super clever and he's got so much hustle and he is super all in on his dreams. And he said he's going to move to LA and own a supercar, and that's exactly what he did, working minimum wage for part of the time and never earning a ton of money, but then find his employer that was a perfect match for him, and he could provide value to them in his marketing role, and just negotiating just a killer deal out of mutual alignment in terms of interests. Here, this company gets a killer skilled marketing person who will go out and hustle for them and be a presence on the ground at these supercar meets and meet their ideal customers. They've locked in his loyalty because he gets to own this supercar, knowing that he has this safety net of not only a salary, but the ability to maintain this car and have this lifestyle. It made me think of Amazon Web Services, oddly enough. For those of you who aren't familiar, Amazon Web Services is one of the best businesses on the planet. If it was separate from Amazon stock, it would be like $100 billion market cap. And what Amazon did to start this business was they already had invested in all these servers. So it was a very heavy cost, and they just had extra capacity for them. So they're like, oh, why don't we just sell this extra server capacity? And so what they did was they turned what was ordinarily a cost center, what they already paid a lot of money for and invested in, into a means of making profit. And that's really what Will did, is he bought this, very expensive car. He got it, relatively affordably. He says it was like the cheapest supercar possible. Still wasn't cheap, but he was very strategic about it. And he modified it in so many cool ways. He turned what would normally be just a really expensive depreciating asset, he turned it into this professional opportunity. And therefore, it's like a huge profit center for him, or will be, in terms of earning money and personal branding and all that. We could all take inspiration from there in terms of, okay, what am I already spending a lot of money on that can turn into some kind of profitable enterprise? Maybe it's like going out to eat, I don't know, spending a lot of money on movies and turning that into reviews, like who knows, right? But I just thought that was something worth contemplating. And then lastly with Jay, I caught him at the very end and wish I had more time to talk to him as well. But the thing that stood out for me with him was when he said that little voice in your head that says you're meant for more. For those that have felt that or experienced that, it's true. It's not a lie. How many times do we distrust our intuition, or, oh, that can't be real, or that's just like a delusional voice in our head or whatever? Because there are a lot of delusional voices in our head, but I think maybe there's a difference. What he's referring to is maybe less of a voice and more of an inner subtle knowing. He trusted that and followed that. And what would happen if we trusted that and followed that, when that kind of inner knowing or really subtle voice that seems kind of crazy says those kinds of encouraging things to us? And then just lastly, was each of the interviewees were in it for the long haul. They all earned money in what I would consider a moral way. I was really shocked by Taylor. I'd never heard that there was a business like Taylor's to help get people out of timeshares. And I don't know, that's one of the most moral enterprises I can imagine based on what I know, because timeshare salespeople do often victimize people with and hit them with a lot of unforeseen costs, or it's just they're not getting the value they're being sold. And so I love that he's making a ton of money off of saving people from this manipulation that they received from these different timeshare salespeople over the years. I'm not saying every timeshare is immoral. I'm not saying that, so timeshare people don't come after me. Each one of those people that I interviewed, it felt like they were really delivering value in the marketplace, really helping people, and were receiving compensation accordingly. I look forward to interviewing more people, really on this kick of interviewing, successful, wealthy people on how they did it in terms of their mindset, their ideologies, the way they approach earning money, the way they think about money. I think that's really underrated stuff, and I think we're just not getting the full picture, from the Instagram ads we see, or the social media ads, or the, random viral YouTube videos, or whatever, or people spending really lavishly on, watches and cars, they have unlimited money. That is just not the full picture. And not to mention in the news of, oh, look at all these rich people skipping out on taxes, they're the enemy. I just don't think that is a fair assessment of what's happening, and I think that's more of the exception rather than the rule. One of the things I heard a long time ago, or read a long time ago, that has stuck with me was, you will not have what you detest. So if you detest wealth, you're not going to have it. You're not going to have money. Even if it's subconsciously, you're behind the scenes going to think, oh, rich people are bad, rich people are evil, they're stealing from others, or you have to be immoral to make a lot of money, or you have to like suffer to make a lot of money, and that's not what I'm interested in doing, and therefore you'll never have any money. I've had to deal with a whole slew of beliefs related to that and more. You know, worthiness is another big one. We're all worthy of money. There's enough money to go around for everyone. So I think it's just I think it's one of the most compelling topics right now. And that's why I'm so excited to talk to these people and extract their wisdom and distill it for you all, and just disregarding the loudest and often most untrue messages that a lot of us just absorb and we just assume are true. I'll end that rant. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and share it with others if you think they'd find it valuable. It would mean so much to me. And please comment below. What did you think of the video? What did you find valuable? What did you dislike, or what do you disagree with? I would honestly love to hear from you. I want this to be more of a dialogue. And so yeah, I would love to hear from everyone. So thanks so much. And I have a lot of other exciting content coming down the pipeline in terms of interviewing more, you know, super wealthy or successful people or whatever. So I'm really excited to keep producing this content for you all. So thanks.